very good evening. You're watching Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our News First studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Mariam Gunavijaya.
And I'm Vishal Kapuge for News First, where we are and always will be with the people. Let's first start off by taking a look at your headlines.
Professionals make their way to the President's office seeking a meeting. President's office says no meeting today. Over 9,300 professionals migrated within the past 7 months. Brain drain negatively impacts export industries. Ashu Marasinghe blames political force for migration.
මේකත් අපි දකිනවා එක්තරා දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක අවස්ථාවාදී වැඩසටහනක් විදිහට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නවා.
UNICEF says that 85% of grade 3 children in Sri Lanka poor in literacy and numeracy. Arid weather conditions affect 15 districts. Water Board says that water bodies have dried up to 50%. Wildlife officials perform surgery on Agbo the tusker.
And now in your top story, the Professionals Trade Union Collective made their way to the President's office on Thursday morning, seeking a meeting to discuss their issues.
However, as they were not provided a meeting with a responsible official, the Professionals Trade Union Collective dispersed, stressing that they would resort to trade union action. A heavy security presence was witnessed around the President's office located opposite Goldface Green. Sri Lanka police and the anti-riot police were among the security units posted for security around the President's office. Approximately 200 representatives from the Professionals Trade Union Collective made their way to the President's office, citing the need to discuss their issues with the President, President Secretary or a responsible official. However, Sri Lanka police prevented them from reaching the President's office or its environs. Thereafter, a representative from the President's office visited the location and met with the representatives of the Professionals Trade Union Collective. However, he informed the Professionals Trade Union Collective that it was not possible to meet with the President Secretary at the moment.
We requested for a meeting with a responsible official, if not the President, with the President Secretary. It is disappointing to note that the group representing all the professionals in the country were kept on the streets. What are the rulers expecting from this? We asked for one thing. It is for the professionals to be allowed to engage in their profession in this country with dignity. The professionals have not been able to serve in this country with dignity due to the attempts being made to execute the decisions taken to sell public assets as well as to destabilize the public service and the education sector. In March, the President Secretary in writing assured us that the proposals that we put forward to amend the tax system will be taken up during the September review with the IMF and that the taxes will be made more reasonable. It was after that assurance was given that we temporarily suspended our trade union action. The leaders of the Professionals Trade Union Collective are here. We wanted to ask the President Secretary on what happened to the assurance that he gave us. We wonder if the government wants to further worsen the situation and have people fall dead on the streets. Recently, Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that professionals are migrating due to the events that transpired on the 9th of May 2022. We would like to note that the professionals who are staying here are those who understand what transpired last year and are ready to serve the people when they needed it the most. If the events on the 9th of May should affect someone, it should affect those in Parliament. All the professionals will always work to build this country and not drag it back into an abyss.
Later, another representative from the President's office visited the location and said a meeting will be provided on a later date.
ජෙනුවින් නායකයෝ නම් ජෙනුවින් රජයේ ඉහළ නිලධාරීන් නම් කරන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ එන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලන්ගෙන් 10 දෙනෙක් මෙන්න මේ වෙලාවට එන්නයි කියලා මීටින් එකක් කලින් ඇරෙන්න කරනවා. ඒක තමයි නියම පරිපාලනය.
අනේ අපිට තියෙන දැන් ඇක්ෂන් වලින් ප්‍රචාර දක්වන්නනේ. අපේ අවශ්‍ය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග වලට යන්න.
මේමයි එතුමා කිව්වේ විශ්නත් දෙන්න මේ මොහොතේ එකපාරට කොහොමද සාකච්ඡාව කරන්න.
කියන්න අපි අද සාකච්ඡා කරලා අපි අනිත් ක්‍රියාමාර්ග වලට යන්න ලෑස්ති.
මොකද අයියේ
ක්‍රියාමාර්ග වලට යන්න තීරණය කරන්න අනිවාර්යයි.
මොකද අපි කොහොමද මේවට නොගින් මේ ප්‍රශ්න සාකච්ඡාව විසඳ ගන්න. හැබැයි මේ ඉන්න කාටවත් ඒක සාකච්ඡාව විසඳ ගන්න අවශ්‍ය නැති බව අපිට පේනවා.
මම දැන් දෙපැත්තම පයිද දුන්නේ. ඔය ඒක ඔබතුමාට කිව්වේ සාකච්ඡාවක් අහවල් දවසේ එහෙම කියලා කිව්වම කියලා නෑ. ඔෆිස් එකේ නෙවෙයි ඉන්නේ. මට කොහොම සාකච්ඡාවක් දෙන්නම් ඒක මොකද දෙන්න කියලා තමයි කිව්වේ.
Thereafter, the Professionals Trade Union Collective dispersed. The Professionals Trade Union Collective comprises approximately 40 trade unions, including the Government Medical Officers Association, Federation of University Teachers Association, Ceylon Bank Employees Union, and the Faculty of Medicine Teachers Association. The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment revealed that over the past 7 months, a total of 9,300 professionals had left the country.
The National Chamber of Exporters of Sri Lanka stressed that brain drain had negatively impacted export industries in the country.
According to the 2022 annual report of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, compared to 2021, migration of Sri Lankans saw a spike of 154.4%. 2,957 professionals with the highest educational qualifications migrated for work overseas in 2020. In 2022, that figure spiked to 14,307.
Our experts leaving the country, especially knowledgeable, the professionals leaving the country has become a major issue for us. But during the last 1 year, more and more professionals are leaving the country. As exporters or people in business, we have an issue. Most of our professional skilled people are leaving. So they are leaving with very short notice, like 2 months, 3 months notice. And we find it very difficult to recruit people with similar expertise and experience. So that is also blocking our day-to-day businesses and also future planning. So research and development, innovations are not really happening at the moment because we have no people. We are only struggling on day-to-day basis. So this is very serious for the medium term to long term in this country. And if we don't solve it, we are going to have a country without any prosperity, and we will not be able to have our desired plans for the future.
The Free Trade Zones and General Service Employees Union elaborated on the matter as well.
Factory workers have migrated. This is our valuable human resource. Losing them poses a negative impact. The government is sustaining by sending its human resources overseas. Machine operators who were trained for years with a massive investment are migrating to countries like Romania and Russia to work in the apparel sector. We are facing a serious issue in operating the factories. Ashumara Singha attended a media briefing organised by the United National Party to comment on migration of workers.
People who are working for the country leave the country. This is something that has always happened. It is not something that took place overnight. We have seen this every day. The brain drain. We need to discourage professionals from migrating by providing them with the necessary facilities. The government is providing the facilities. However, a certain political party is engaged in a program that is advantageous to them. They are creating an opinion among the people via the media that doctors and others are leaving the country. When the students at SITEM are just about to graduate, the GMOA creates a situation where they will not be able to graduate. We need private medical colleges in the country. They speak of brain drain, but do not allow overseas universities to come and teach our students. We need to solve this.
Parliamentarian Partli Champikaranavaka, speaking to reporters on Thursday, said that the present state of affairs in the country is temporary relief for defaulting on its debt. He was commenting on the recently introduced mid-term government finance and economic situation.
පළවෙනි කාර්තුවේදී ලංකාවේ ආර්ථිකය
Compared to 2022, Sri Lanka's first quarter economy shrank by 11.5% this year. The country's economy, which was $90 billion, dropped to $80 billion. The country is moving backwards. Exports have dropped by 7.7% and could further decline. Then we have the internal economic crisis. As a result of this crisis, skilled labour migration is taking place, affecting the export industries. Entrepreneurs, industries and human resources are leaving the country. Businesses that grew over the years are leaving the country. What we are witnessing today is a temporary relief for not repaying our debt. If the government fails to restructure the debt from January to September in 2024, the country will face a severe crisis. The revenue of the state is somewhat equal to the interest installment. The government has only managed to save 17 billion rupees from the employee wages and allowances. Salaries have not increased in 3 years, but the cost of goods had increased by threefold. They say inflation reduced. But what is inflation? It means the rate of increase and not the price of goods. The money that they have managed to save will be used to pay the interest. This is all because of the officials from the central bank and treasury who followed wrong economic policies, as well as the handful of politicians who did the same.
කීප ගුණයක් අවසානයේ වැය කරලා තියෙනවා පොලි ගෙවන්න වැරදි ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිපත්ති අනුගමනය කරපු මහ බැංකුවේ භාණ්ඩාගාරයේ නිලධාරීන් හා දේශපාලකින් 4-5 දෙනෙක් නිසා.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that much like the readiness exhibited towards the apparel industry in the 1970s and 80s, Sri Lanka must now embrace emergent technologies.
We need to adapt to the changes with science. Areas such as artificial intelligence, robotics, energy storage, blockchain technology and genome science have significant impacts on the economy. We will have to change our lifestyles as well. Much like the readiness exhibited towards the apparel industry in the 1970s and the 80s, we must now embrace these emergent technologies. This calls for a fundamental overhaul of our education system. A proliferation of universities specializing in these domains is imperative. Furthermore, proficiency in languages such as English is vital. Schools and higher education institutions must be established as centers of knowledge dissemination in these fields.
President Wickremesinghe made these remarks during the 2019-20 annual prize-giving ceremony at Anula Vidyalaya in Nugegoda on Thursday.
UNICEF says that 85% of grade 3 children in Sri Lanka are not achieving minimum proficiency in literacy and numeracy.
The Ministry of Education and UNICEF spearhead a national initiative to help 1.6 million primary school children impacted by prolonged school closures and sporadic disruptions to their education over the past 3 years to catch up on their learning. According to a Ministry of Education-led national assessment, 85% of grade 3 children are not achieving minimum proficiency in literacy and numeracy, which is essential in their transition into secondary school and beyond, both in life and work.
Importantly, to move this critical work forward and to implement the very progressive education reforms, there is an urgent need for this country to increase its national budget allocation for education, especially for primary grades. Currently, Sri Lanka spends less than 2% of GDP for education, which falls well below the international benchmark between 4 and 6%. So, to this effect, I would strongly encourage and urge the Ministry of Education to advocate for increased national budget allocation to enable you all to bridge the gaps in skill development in primary education and boost the human resource capacities this country requires to move forwards or move toward economic recovery and beyond. UNICEF will certainly advocate on its own and together with other partners for this to become a reality as well.
The learning crisis has affected vulnerable children the most, including younger children in primary grades and those in plantation estates in the country.
China has said it is ready to help Sri Lanka address challenges of financial debt. The assurance came during a meeting between the director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs of China and the Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena.
Wang Yi, Director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs and a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, vowed that China will help Sri Lanka effectively to address the challenges of financial debt. He noted that China is always Sri Lanka's reliable strategic partner and appreciates that Sri Lanka has always been friendly to China and has stood by China on issues related to its core interests. He added that China also firmly supports Sri Lanka in safeguarding its sovereign independence and national dignity and is willing to strengthen exchanges of experience in governance as well as cooperation in various fields with Sri Lanka. Wang vowed that China will help Sri Lanka improve its capacity for independent development, get rid of the poverty trap and the trap of non-development, accelerate its industrialization process and agricultural modernization. He expressed belief that Sri Lanka will overcome its temporary difficulties, find a development path in line with its national conditions and realize revitalization and prosperity. Prime Minister Gunawardena thanked China for its firm support for Sri Lanka in safeguarding its independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity and for its timely and effective assistance to Sri Lanka in times of difficulty. The Prime Minister said the forward-looking flagship cooperation projects between the two sides, such as the Colombo Port City and the Hambantota Port, will bring benefits to the Sri Lankan people and play a key role in regional connectivity and sustainable development.
State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sri Lanka, Tharaka Balasurya, says that enhancing maritime security and jointly addressing environmental challenges can in fact ensure safer navigation and protect our oceans for generations to come. He was speaking at the China-South Asia Cooperation Forum held in China.
China has been Sri Lanka's #1 investment partner since creating the total investments from China from 2005 to 2022 is recorded over $3.4 billion. Some of the mega investment projects in Sri Lanka, such as Colombo Port City, Mandal International Airport project, and the Hambantota Port Development project, support the Belt and Road Initiative of China. In fact, the China's Belt and Road Initiative and South Asia's regional connectivity efforts also converge in projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the Bangladesh-China-India-Myanmar Economic Corridor. These initiatives exemplify the spirit of maritime cooperation in the infrastructure developments along the sea routes to share prosperity. By enhancing maritime security and jointly addressing the environmental challenges, we can ensure safe navigation and protect our oceans for generations to come. Further, Sri Lanka's expressway projects, which are implemented by the government and Chinese finance, facilitate the DRI. In this context, I would like to stress the investment from China critical to continue to propel Sri Lanka's economy. As Sri Lanka emerges from the recent economic crisis, we invite more investments from China in Sri Lanka. I would like to use this forum to stress on the success of the ongoing Colombo Port City project, which is the largest ever investment in Sri Lanka and is key to Sri Lanka's national mission of becoming a financial and commercial hub in the region, realizing the benefits of this strategic advantage of being located at the very center of the Indian Ocean. This strategic location can also be further beneficial for the technology and other collaborations. As Sri Lanka can serve as a partner between China and other South Asian nations such as India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh.
India is paying close attention to a new Chinese marine research vessel, Xi'an-6, which is expected to dock at the Colombo and Hambantota deep-sea ports in the Sea of Sri Lanka. The Xi'an-6 will reach Sri Lanka on the 25th of October and will be involved in research operations in the southern area of the Sea of Sri Lanka for a period of 17 days. Over the years, over 19 state-of-the-art Chinese research and survey vessels reached the Sea of Sri Lanka. The People's Liberation Army Navy vessel Kian Sankian visited Sri Lanka on the 2nd of February 2017 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 4 days. The Xiangyang Hong 3 had visited Sri Lanka for the first time on the 13th of December 2017 and remained in Colombo and Trincomalee for a period of 18 days. The Xiangyang Hong 3 returned to Sri Lanka on the 22nd of December 2017 2019 and remained in Sri Lankan waters until the 5th of January 2020. The Siang Hong 18 reached Sri Lanka on the 6th of January 2018 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 4 days. The Siang 3 scientific research vessel first reached Sri Lanka on the 20th of April 2018 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 4 days. Thereafter, the Siang 3 once again returned to Sri Lanka on the 15th of May 2020 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 7 days. The People's Liberation Army Navy vessel Kiang Wei Chang, a Navy integrated research vessel, reached Sri Lanka on the 8th of August 2019 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 3 days. The Siang Hong 1 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lanka on the 11th of April 2019 and remained until the 15th of April 2019. The People's Liberation Army Navy vessel, the Zhu Qizheng, an integrated research vessel, reached Sri Lanka on the 14th of November 2019 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 5 days. The Siang Hong 6 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lanka on the 27th of December 2019 and remained in Sri Lankan waters until the 17th of January 2020. The Siang Hong 19 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lankan waters on the 11th of February 2020 and was anchored for 9 days. The Siang 1 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lanka on the 11th of April 2020. The High CE 3301 scientific research vessel reached Sri Lanka 3 times. The first was on the 8th of January 2021 and then returned on the 8th of December 2021 and remained for 14 days in Sri Lankan waters. The vessel thereafter again returned to Sri Lanka on the 5th of January 2020 and was anchored for 11 days. The Siang 6, which is expected to dock in Sri Lanka on the 25th of October, previously visited Sri Lanka on the 20th of April 2022 and remained in Sri Lankan waters for 10 days. The Siang 6 vessel had left China on the 6th of July 2023 and as of Tuesday afternoon the vessel was positioned in the South China Sea, around 345 nautical miles away from Vietnam. However, it had changed course towards China and had updated its next port of call to the port of Guangzhou. Though it was expected to reach the port on Thursday, it was positioned some 60 nautical miles away from the port of Guangzhou. In 2022, the Chinese research and survey vessel Yuan Wang 5 docked at the Hambantota port, and this port call led to much controversy in the region. At the same time, information has come to light with regard to an agreement that has been signed with regard to Chinese naval activities in Sri Lankan waters. This agreement had been inked on the 5th of July 2019 between the South China Sea Institute of Oceanology and Sri Lanka's National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency, also known as NARA. The agreement was signed for the monitoring of sea levels, tides and weather patterns. The agreement includes the establishment of a centre to monitor the sea levels in the Kovita and Dondra Head. It also includes the positioning of buoys in the seas off Tangol. In addition, it includes the establishment of a data collection center for tides, sea levels and weather patterns. The agreement notes that the data will only be exchanged between the two said agencies and cannot be released to a third party. Is there any link between this agreement and the visits being made by Chinese research and survey vessels? What is the objective of executing this agreement? In the meantime, parliamentarian S.B. Dissanayake criticised the manner in which beneficiaries were selected for the Aswasuma Social Welfare Benefit Scheme.
Parliamentarian S.B. Dissanayake expressed these views at the Hanguranketha Divisional Development Committee meeting which took place on Thursday afternoon.
If you come across anyone who you think suits this welfare benefit scheme but is unable to tender an application, please fill an application for them and submit it. When we asked you to select these recipients, you all refused to do so because of the circular. There is a general law which is governing this scheme and there is nothing new here, but the people got scared because of the new circular. Feeding wrong information and data to the government is an offence which is punishable with a fine and an imprisonment. This is the general law. Bringing in a special circular to govern this was a foolish act done by the people who are handling this Aswasama Social Benefit Scheme. But we cannot let down the people. Some people were not there in their homes because they were working in their fields.
The Samagi Jana Balawege says they will create a broad opposition movement within the coming few days.
Looking at the situation now, it seems that the current president will not get the candidacy to the next presidential election. Write this down now. An election will be held in the first quarter of next year. They are afraid of the budget. Within 2 to 3 weeks, a broad opposition movement will be created. This Samagijana alliance will include independent parliamentarians who are disappointed with the government. While the objectives of this team are being implemented, the parliament will surely be dissolved.
වැඩපිළිවෙලවන් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනකොට මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව අනිවාර්යෙන්ම විසිරෙනවා කියන එක මම ඔබතුමාලාට කියන්න කැමතියි.
Chairman of the National Trade Union Centre, K.D. Lalkantha, says it is important to call for an election. They will stay in power as long as the constitution allows them. Don't you think remain in power by setting aside the constitution once the constitution stands against them? The Anti-Terrorism Act is a perfect example for that. They are now trying to restrict the media using the Broadcasting Regulatory Authority Act. This is suppression. In order to chase them out, we need to come out to the streets and organize a Aragalaya. There is no other way out of this. But when such a thing is planned, the state intelligence will report it to them and then they will gather the Security Council. Then the Security Council will discuss our plan. We should bring this struggle to a state where once they discuss this at the Security Council, they should rush themselves to an embassy or a visa office to stamp the visa and flee the country. This is the responsibility of the Aragalaya. We need to chase them out. We are already in a crisis. We don't have time to spare now. Delaying this will not do any good to the country. Recently we entered into an agreement with India on a fuel supply line. This agreement is not merely about a fuel pipeline. This is how they spread their monopoly in the political arena and even in the financial market. Once we surrender ourselves to economic monopoly, we are left with no other option but to surrender ourselves politically as well. Since we are already in a crisis, we cannot delay this any further. As a majority, we will not let this go. Always remember that we are the majority and they are the minority in this country.
The Hotel Workers Centre convened a media briefing on Thursday and expressed views regarding the proposed labour law.
The government is trying to loot the employee funds under the guise of calling it a reform of the labour laws and restructuring of employee funds. Through this, recruitment laws have been eased. The limitations on employers when obtaining services from employees have also been eased. This includes dangerous proposals regarding hotel workers. It includes a law which allows employees to be labelled when they are recruited. If they implement this for part-timers in the hotel sector, our community will face a severe crisis and they will be robbed as well.
News first with the people.
The European Union ambassador to Sri Lanka says that the island nation does not have sufficient FTAs under its belt.
The European Union ambassador to Sri Lanka, Dennis Chaibi, has stressed on the urgent need for Sri Lanka to expedite its efforts in enhancing global integration, as the country could significantly lag behind its regional peers if it were to lose access to the GSP Plus scheme. According to Daily Mirror, Chaibi had pointed out that integrating Sri Lanka into key markets at present is GSP Plus, and neglecting to seize this opportunity could place the country at a significant disadvantage. Chaibi told a breakfast meeting organized by the Ceylon Motor Traders Association in Colombo that South Asia is one of the least integrated regions in the world in terms of trade, and Sri Lanka not having enough free trade agreements under its belt does not help its position. He pointed out that once Sri Lanka is out of GSP Plus, the island nation would face limited market access due to the absence of comprehensive trade agreements. With the European Commission recently proposing a 4-year extension to the current GSP Plus scheme until December 31st, 2027, Sri Lanka will not lose its preferential access to the European Union in the interim. The proposed extension is due to the ongoing negotiations between the co-legislators of the EU regarding the new GSP Plus arrangement.
The United States ambassador at large for cyberspace and digital policy is expected to visit Sri Lanka later this weekend.
The United States ambassador at large for cyberspace and digital policy, Nathaniel C. Fick, is set to visit Sri Lanka this weekend. The US State Department said Ambassador Fick will travel to Sri Lanka from August 20th to 23rd. He will hold bilateral consultations in Colombo with a range of counterparts in government, the private sector and think tanks on cybersecurity, information and communications technologies and digital freedom. Before heading to Sri Lanka, Ambassador Fick will be in India from August 17th to the 20th.
The National Water Supply and Drainage Board has said that the water capacity at water bodies operated by them had dropped to 50%. On Thursday evening, the National Water Supply Board and the Minister and officials spoke to reporters on the present state of affairs.
Water capacity at water bodies operated by the National Water Supply and Drainage Board had dropped to 50%. However, we are continuing to supply water. We have only dropped the supply by around 9%. The Labugama and Kalatuava water bodies have sufficient water for 2 months. We will manage the water supply with that. The Ambathale and Biagama water plants will be maintained, and then we can have a continuous supply of water for the Gampaha and Colombo districts. At certain water supply systems, we are releasing water as per a schedule. We will limit the hours of supply based on the capacity. We need to manage the water supply, and that is why we are addressing the media as well to request the people to use water only for essential purposes.
පරිහරණය කරන්න කියලා ගෘහස්ත නොවන කටයුතු සඳහා පරිහරණය කරන්න එපා කියලා මේ පානීය ජලය මේ අවස්ථාවේ.
People from 15 districts in Sri Lanka are affected due to the prevailing arid weather conditions. The Disaster Management Centre said that nearly 183,038 people from 54,979 families are affected due to the prevailing dry weather spell in the country. The northern province is badly affected from the arid weather. As per the latest report of the Disaster Management Centre on Thursday morning, 75,287 people from Jaffna, Mana, Mullaitivu and Vaunia districts in the northern province were affected from the dry spell. More than 180 families in Hinguragoda Divisional Secretariat in the Polonnaruwa district are facing severe difficulties due to the drying up of the Hatharas Kotua Makula river.
During the past, it did not dry up this much. This has affected many wells in the area. The wells are also drying up.
We have to dig the earth to have a bath. We are pleading to release some water to the Makulava River.
Please give us some water using a bowser. We don't have water to wash our hands.
The Ratmalgahavatiya village in Nikaravatiya Siambala River is another village affected due to the prevailing arid weather. Nearly 100 families are facing difficulties to have access to clean drinking water due to this.
Everyone comes to our well to obtain water. Every water source has dried up by now.
The river is also drying up now. There is a drought coming. If that happens, we won't have any water to fulfill our basic needs.
The National Water Supply and Drainage Board has decided to limit the water supply to the Kurunegala city starting from Thursday.
Divi Savya, the second leg of the Divi Savya program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 18th of August, Navala and Vilgamua.
Dai Daruwange Anagate Winuwin Divi Savya, LOLC Praja Satkaraka Mehevara.
The Colonna police say that a businessman who is a resident of Nadola of Colonna was reported missing since Wednesday. He has left his residence on Wednesday afternoon to collect cash from the bank for a business purpose.
The missing individual is a 49-year-old businessman of the Nadul area of Colonna named Sarath Kumara. He visited a private bank in Deniyaya on Wednesday afternoon to withdraw cash for a business transaction. Sarath Kumara, who had thereafter visited several nearby shops, had later left in his van. The police said that he had withdrawn 1 million rupees from his bank account. However, he had not yet returned to his residence, even as of Thursday evening. The police discovered his van parked close to the Anil Kanda public cemetery.
The owner of a nearby shop had called my sister and told her that the vehicle was found. When I got the news, it was 7 in the evening. They are still looking for him.
Sarath Kumara is a father of 4. The Colonna police have begun an extensive search to find the missing businessman.
The Committee on Public Finance had informed the Finance Ministry to announce that the price of a kilogram of wheat flour will be fixed at 198 rupees. The Committee on Public Finance said this decision was reached to prevent the two main wheat flour importers from generating exorbitant profits and to protect the consumers. The Committee on Public Finance has also directed its attention towards the price of cement in the country. It was revealed that there was a difference of 700 rupees in the price of a bag of cement unloaded at the port and the selling price. The Committee on Public Finance had informed the Finance Ministry and the Ministry of Urban Development and Lands to prepare a report on the matter. A beacon of light for villagers, a strength to the people, a shelter for those in need. Gammadda continues to serve the people.
Another project by Gammadda, a road for a remote Anuradhapura village, will be vested with the public on Friday.
There are 6 villages under the Mahavilachya Divisional Secretariat in the Anuradhapura district. It is a village cluster with over 600 families. Their main source of income is agriculture. Around 400 children study at the Saliyamala Vidyalaya, the key school for this area. The entrance to the villages is through the road that begins from the Mana Junction in Mahavilachya. The road was in a decadent state, making it extremely inconvenient to commute. The villagers dislike having to use this road to travel. The children are finding it very difficult to go to school along this road as well. The villagers of Yayahaya brought this issue to the attention of Gammadda. Club HNB joined Gammadda to provide financial support to launch the project, and it was completed. Gammadda, a pioneer in rural development for over a decade, will join the villagers and open this road tomorrow. Gammadda, for the people, by the people. Sri Lankan Tharshan Silvaraja, who won the title of the best baguette in Paris, shared his experience in Valigama yesterday.
On Wednesday night, Tharshan Silvaraja shared his experience with Sri Lankan bakery producers in Valigama during his first visit to Sri Lanka after winning the competition. The contest was held on the 10th of May, where 126 baguettes were chosen from a pool of 175 for evaluation and tasting. Each entry vying for the title of the best traditional baguette in Paris had to meet exacting standards including specific dimensions, weight and salt content. Tharshan Silvaraja did not only walk away with first place, winning €4,000, he also received a contract to serve French President Emmanuel Macron and his guests for a year.
TEDx Colombo will be hosting their latest TED Talk later this month. Now in its 10th event in Sri Lanka across 12 years, TEDx Colombo is back to give you an experience that will leave you inspired.
I was wondering, what would be an idea worth sharing?
TEDx Colombo was formed by a group of young individuals to help spread awareness and allow our leaders and thinkers to speak from a global stage locally. This group comes from varying backgrounds and varying age groups with the same goal in mind. TEDx Colombo's latest event will be held on the 27th of August and will include a lineup of speakers including senior researcher Bhavani Fonseca, international mining expert Ryan Rockwood, architect Palinda Kannangara, medical researcher Lakmali Jayavira, social activist S. Kishore Kumar, author Ashok Ferry, and performers including experimental band Orange Mango and choreographer and dance artist Sandarangi Pereira. The TED Talk will also see the attendance of Will Davis from TEDx Development.
We here in Colombo have a TEDx license, which is an independently organized TEDx TED event. So with that, we are bringing you TEDx Colombo, one of the largest and oldest and most premier idea conferences here in Colombo, with amazing speakers, amazing performances, and using the TED format, which is the most incredible part of it.
We've got an epic social spaces set up, so it's a whole lot of interaction and networking from people from all sorts of backgrounds. So it's a great place to learn from something that you don't know and take an idea home worth sharing.
The TED Talk in Colombo will focus on thought-provoking talks, inspiring performances and engaging discussions. Stay tuned to News First for an exclusive interview with the team from TEDx Colombo and myself, coming soon on News First Digital.
And now moving on with the news, the Thomian Fun Fair will kick off at St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia on Friday the 18th. The fair will feature an array of vendors, games and live performances from leading artists in Sri Lanka's music industry.
News First's Jaimal Ratnayaka was at the college premises earlier today to witness the preparations in full flow.
If you're looking for some fun and excitement tomorrow and the day after, that is the 18th and the 19th of August, for you and your entire family, look no further beyond the Thomian Fun Fair. I'm currently at the location at the big club grounds here at the St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, where the Thomian Fun Fair will be happening tomorrow, that is Friday, and as well on Saturday from 5 p.m. onwards. The organizers have a range of exciting attractions and live bands lined up just for your fun and excitement.
Students, event managers and sponsors were making their final preparations at St. Thomas's College on Thursday ahead of the Thomian Fun Fair.
This year we are having a 2-day Thomian Fun Fair as part of a fundraising venture to raise funds for Thomian sports. It promises to be a wonderful event for all the family. They are going to have a musical show with a number of leading artists in Sri Lanka, together with a lot of other activities for children and young people and for all the family.
The first time we are having a fun fair towards raising funds for Thomian sports. We will have games for kids and for adults. We will have a horror house, we will have food stalls, and of course we will have a musical evening filled with music provided by people like Bhati and Santosh, Monkey Six, Umaria, Fallon, Ashanti, and a whole lot more. And I would like to invite everyone, as many as possible, to come and be part of this evening.
MTV, NBC and News First are the media sponsors of the mega event.
St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, together with the OBA and PTA present Thomian Fun Fair 2023.
Hi guys, see you at the Thomian Fun Fair on the 18th of August. We'll see you this Friday at the St. Thomas's College ground for the Thomian Fun Fair. Let's have a lot of fun. See you.
And welcome back to the news. Wildlife officials have tranquilized Agbo the tusker and commenced treating his gunshot injury. Wildlife officials have been working tirelessly to save the life of Agbo the tusker. Wildlife officials said that the gunshot injury on the left leg of Agbo the tusker is yet to heal completely. It's been over 2 months since Agbo the tusker was injured after a trap gun discharged and a bullet struck its left leg, seriously injuring the pachyderm. As per the recommendation made by the wildlife veterinarians, Agbo was tranquilized on Thursday the 17th. The health director at the Department of Wildlife and his team, together with the University of Peradeniya medical faculty personnel, commenced administering treatment to Agbo.
Veteran broadcaster Sir Michael Parkinson has died at the age of 88.
Thank God they're not in this country at all. And this is the moment.
His TV career spanned 7 decades, and he interviewed the world's biggest stars on his long-running chat show. A statement from Sir Michael's family said, quote, "After a brief illness, Sir Michael Parkinson passed away peacefully at home last night in the company of his family," unquote. Sir David Attenborough led the tributes, saying the host, quote, "always wanted the interviewee to shine," unquote. Sir David, who was a guest on Parkinson a number of times, told the BBC, quote, "With Michael, it was always friendly, always thorough, always intelligent, always a pleasure to do it, and I think that came over no matter who his interviewee was."
And that's a wrap of your primetime news here on TV1.
Good night and take care.